The masthead?
Masthead.
Okay. This is more than 30,000 registered Republicans have changed their party registration since the Capitol Hill attacks. So what exactly is happening here? Let's ask former Mitt Romney aide Lauren Zelt and Emily Tish Sussman, Vice President of Campaigns for the Center for American Progress. I'm going to start with you, Lauren, because you were with the Republican Party, and you have Matt Gaetz right there saying he wants to be the masthead. What does that even mean?
That's a really good question. I think it's interesting that he points out the fact that people that support Trump, perhaps over the Republican Party, don't feel like they have a home anymore. A lot of mainstream Republicans have felt that way since former President Trump rode down that escalator in 2015. So, you know, you're seeing a lot of headlines right now saying that the Republican Party can't quit Trump, but I would push back on that and say, I think it's Trump that can't quit the Republican Party. I think he probably doesn't know what to do with himself now that he's out of office. You know, we read this week that he was thrilled that Kevin McCarthy came down to have a meeting with him. But what I think you're seeing is important is that, yes, people like Matt Gaetz, they're very loud, but there's also indications that the party is ready to be finished with Trump. A poll came out this week of New Hampshire voters. You know, it's never too early to look at 2024. And it showed that less than half of the Republicans in New Hampshire support a 2024 run by President Trump. So you don't hear those headlines as often, but they are out there. And so I think we're still in this sort of figuring things out period of we just lost the presidency. However, we did make strong gains in the House. Don't have control of the House or the Senate. But, you know, a lot of Republicans down ticket outperformed the president in November. And so I don't think that the hold on the party is as strong as Congressman Gaetz and others might like to think. And so we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah, and it is really early right now. We're only about 10 days out with this new administration. And by the way, if you haven't seen the exclusive footage on Brian Williams' show of that meeting between McCarthy and Trump, please Google it. It's a proud moment.
It was great.
Emily, in the meantime, there are also some leading Republicans who are coming to Liz Cheney's defense. What do you make of the war, though, that is kind of growing within the Republican Party?
Well, I'm very concerned about the dynamic of Republicans in Washington right now. The farther out we get from the January 6th insurrection, the more it seems like, well, Liz Cheney's out on a limb. Well, Mitt Romney's out on a limb. Like, they were the ones who were actually speaking the truth about former President Trump's role in the insurrection and holding him accountable, as opposed to the majority of the Republican Party. There really is no difference between the Republican Party and Trump right now. He has one of his allies at the head of the RNC. Kevin McCarthy is, besides for Mitch McConnell, the highest ranking Democrat and Republican rather, and has 2/3 of its party, at least in the House, loyal to Trump. I mean, Gaetz's language about a MAGA movement, what is a MAGA movement? It's loyalty to Trump. So there really is no difference between Trump loyalty and the party right now, unfortunately. So I think that what we see is people that are looking to govern on conservative principles, standing up for Liz Cheney. But otherwise, I really don't see that in the Republican Party right now. Like, there's nowhere in the Beltway conversation, how are we going to get vaccines distributed? How are we going to open schools again? None of that is in the Republican conversation right now, partly because Trump really blew up conservative principles. So it really is the party of Trump. And I think that Republicans who want to govern on conservative principles don't really have a place to go.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Lauren Zelt and Emily Tish Sussman, thank you both. Appreciate it.
Occupy Wall